record this. Okay, so I'm going to repeat that for the video. But we're going to start in a static back-like position. It's called Flexion Abdominals. So your knees are actually into your chest a little bit more, feet on the wall, and then we're going to put the yoga block in between our knees here. So I'm going to go ahead and get into that position against the wall. I just wanted to show you how it looked there. Now, Mom, if you don't necessarily like that position, so you can go into static back.
Okay.
Just either one.
Okay.
Because we've done that flexion abdominal position before and it wasn't your favorite, so.
Okay, you do it.
Oh, yeah. So your butt is about 6 inches off the wall, feet against the wall, block in between the knees. So if this is a lot, you can also scoot back a little bit further from the wall to make it a little bit more like the static back position, which is a 90-degree position. But this is almost like a deep squat-like position. Good. So you want to feel like your lower back is relaxed into the floor, not super pressing, but you're definitely going to feel it flush against the floor. We're just going to chill out here. Just decided to make it a little bit more active than how we've started some of the classes in the past recently, where we normally start in the static back. Kat, if you want to, you can probably scoot more into the wall so your bum is closer. More like a deep squat, lying down. You might start to feel like your hip flexors really have to engage here to hold this block. And we're not squeezing the block like to death, we're just kind of holding it and relaxing our back. We're just going to relax here for a couple minutes. Kind of tune into our breath this morning. I don't know about you, but I kind of woke up a little stuffy this morning, so breathing is probably going to be really good. Over the weekend, Russell didn't bring his allergy medication when we went out of town, and he was like so stopped up and sneezing and itchy and all this stuff. It was, we both kind of had the question if that allergy medicine really doing anything for him? And we learned this weekend that yes, it definitely does. And if he doesn't take it, then there's little problems. So.
Your brother got a ton of allergies down here.
Yeah. That's, a lot of people end up getting more allergies when they move to Texas and then don't have so many allergies when they move here. But for Russell, it was reversed. He didn't have any allergies in Texas, and then when he moved back here, they all came flooding back. Like, but the air is so much, like, fresher here. It probably isn't, actually, but. All right, let's bring our arms out to shoulder level. Make fists facing down towards your feet. So we're going to do a couple reverse presses here to start to wake up our shoulder blades. So you're going to squeeze your shoulder blades and release, and squeeze and release. So you're really feeling those shoulder blades slide together and then relax off. Beautiful. Not using your elbows to leverage. Really feel your shoulder blades come down into the floor. Might start to feel like your hips are waking up a little bit more. I can feel this on the outside of my shins too. I also noticed that over the weekend where we were, it got really, really cold at night, so I would end up curling up into like a tiny little ball while sleeping. And every morning I would wake up and my left shoulder was like, we don't like being in a tiny little ball for the entirety of a night. So this one, for me, always helps really reset both shoulder blades back onto your thoracic back. If you're feeling really uneven, go ahead and take a little rest. Bring your arms down for a second, and then we're going to go back into it. Now, if you're feeling like this leg position is getting into your lower back, go ahead and scoot away from the wall a little bit, because you really want your legs to wake up and not feel like your back is trying to do the work with holding your legs in this position. Good. All right, just to wake up our legs a little bit more, we're just gonna do 20 pillow squeezes with our knees. So you're gonna squeeze in, release, squeeze in, release. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And if you weren't feeling this in your hips, you're probably feeling it a little bit more now. Again, relaxing your back fully onto the ground. I like to say make it harder than you think it will be. So back fully relaxed onto the ground and then just moving your legs back and forth. It's a lot harder than if you let your back kind of help you. All right, so now we're going to slide our heels up the wall. Straighten out our legs. Try to make your feet nice and straight, and if you need to look at me, please do. And then we're going to slide it back into that position. We're going to go back and forth here. Sliding back and forth. Perfect. Block still in between the knees. Helps keep those knees tracking. I'm feeling my inner thighs this morning. Again, keeping your lower back relaxed. Try to keep those feet as straight as possible. I know it's kind of hard, especially if you don't have a wall that's easily slidable. All right, now as you're at the top, I want you to go ahead and lift your ankles off the wall. Bring your legs floating here. And then we're going to squeeze and release the blocks with straight leg. Squeeze, release. So it's kind of like static wall, but floating. And with a block in between your knees. And it's a little small movement. Again, relaxing your back. Okay, we're going to go back and do some more slides. And then we're going to do the squeezes again. Give yourself a little break. Slide back and forth. I got back at my plant on this triangle shelf. Was doing really well, and apparently I just need to go out of town so my plants do well, and I need to just get out of their way. Story of my life, I always kill the plants on accident. Not so much of a green thumb here. Alright, we're going to stop at the top, pull our heels off, so heels directly under hips here. If you're that flexible, squeeze and release. Woo! And if you need to take a little break, I know we're doing quite a bit here. Active toes, pull those toes down and back. Squeezing evenly. All right. I might take away my block for a second. Just kind of move it back and forth. We're going to do one more set. Again, making sure that your back is relaxed, not trying to engage here. All right. One more set. And we're going to slide up. And back down. here's where your back really will try to kind of help out, just because your legs are starting to get a little tired. All right, let's go ahead and pause at the top, lift off. Last set of squeezes. Squeeze, release. Really keep those feet active. Feel that stretch along the whole back of your body. Whew. I can feel that.
Me too.
Got quite a bit of shake going on. All right, go ahead and relax. We're going to scoot all the way into the wall now. So your butt's all the way touching. And then we're going to bring our feet out to kind of a diamond position. So it's kind of like a frog, but with your feet on the wall. So you want your big toe still touching, the whole foot, like holding its hand, holding the foot. Butt is all the way up into the wall if you can. If that's kind of a lot, then go ahead and scoot back a little bit because you want to feel like your tailbone is relaxed into the ground here. We're just going to hold this position.
Rachel?
Yeah.
What are we doing with our feet?
It's wall frog.
Oh, okay.
So she knows all the names to it. Now you do want to keep some active pressure in your big toes. So I don't want you to fully relax into this where your feet come apart, because it helps engage that whole inner line of your legs. Sometimes people do this and they're like, oh, this is super easy. I'm like, okay, well then we need a little bit more activity in your legs. This is not super duper easy. Again, bringing back that breathing. We're going to go ahead and do a little upper back stuff. We're going to do some pullovers. So clasp your hands in front of your chest here, holding your palms together, making sure you're not hyperextending your elbows. Your elbow pits are facing each other. And then we're going to drop our hands behind our head to as far back as they go. So if they can touch the floor, that's awesome. But if they can't, that's fine. You don't need to push it. I'm going to move back and forth here. Try to note if you can keep your entire back relaxed into the ground and you don't have to arch your back while you drop your hands behind you. So our shoulders can move independently of that mid-back, but a lot of the times we've lost that ability and our back tries to arch in compensation. All right. Keep going. We might do a little more upper body after this and relax our legs. Are you feeling like your shoulder blades and your lats and your mid-back is starting to open up and move a little bit easier? Woo. Just check in with your feet. Are they trying to relax too? Mine was. All right, very nice. Let's go ahead and come off of it. We're going to scoot away from our wall. We're going to do a little upper body twist. Just kind of relax out of our back. So we're going to do our upper spinal floor twist. So go ahead and relax on your side in that fetal position. Knees bent at 90 degrees. Ankles out from your knees, so not tucked into your body like a real fetal position. Bring your arm underneath you here. And then we're going to bring our bottom arm on top of our knees, and we're going to cross our top arm all the way over, keeping your knees stacked here, so don't open up all the way and bring your shoulder down onto the ground. Want to make sure your knees stay stacked. We might actually hold this for a little bit longer today. I don't know about you, but I'm really feeling this one. And so if your arm doesn't go straight down to the floor, that's okay. I want you to make sure that you're having an open palm here and you really feel like your shoulder is opening up. So you might start to feel some stretching in your pec muscle, in your armpit. We don't want you to stay turtle shelled, so not letting that shoulder round forward, keeping that shoulder nice and open. And then you want to focus on breathing into your side ribs here. There's a bunch of muscles in between your ribs called your intercostals, and we want to think about breathing into them and expanding them. And then every time you exhale, just go into that twist a little bit more. Relax into it. We're going to do the same thing. It's amazing how just focusing on your breathing can make that big of a difference very quickly in this one exercise. Good. About 30 seconds left. Keep breathing, keep relaxing into it. See if you can let your neck look into your hand a little bit more, if that's comfortable for you. All right, go ahead and close over, and I want you to really close that twist here, because you're probably going to feel pretty different in those two sides, because we held that for 2 minutes, which is a little bit longer than we normally hold it. Now we're going to go ahead and switch to the other side. All right, so knees stacked, ankles out from knees, both shoulders under you. You're going to bring that bottom hand on top of your knee, rotate the other one open like a book. Ooh, note the difference in sides here since we held that other one for so long. And then just go ahead and go straight into focusing on that breathing. Think opening up the shoulder. You're probably going to start to relax into this pretty quickly. Remember, every exhale, just let yourself go a little bit more into that twist. But keeping those knees stacked, I want a little bit of stability within your hips in this one. Good. Trying to look over at your hand still if that's comfortable for your neck. Note how this twist changes as you hold it longer. You're starting to feel the stretch potentially in a different area than you felt it before as you relax into it. And I want you to feel like somebody's kind of pulling your elbow away from you. You're going to feel a little bit more stretch throughout your shoulder if you kind of actively pull that elbow to the side of the room. Good. Double check your knees again. All right, let's go ahead and close over. Take a little pause as you close it. Awesome. All right, we're going to come back onto our back. So we're just going to do a couple more lower body twists. We're going to do a couple knee drops. So widen your feet if you're using a yoga mat to the outside of your yoga mat, or just wider than your hips. So we're going to drop our knees over to one side. Kind of pause there for a second, and we're then going to switch and drop them over to the other side. It's such a simple movement, but it feels so good. It really helps reconnect your legs with your lower back. They all have to twist as one here. So make sure that when you go through the center in these knee drops, that your feet are still pointing straight. You're not starting to evert. They are going to probably start to walk away from you, like walk further away from your bum. So if you feel like that, you can stop in the center, bring them back, and then continue going. Good. Go ahead and pause over to one side. So I paused switching over to my right side. I'm going to bring my right ankle on top of my left knee just to kind of pull it into that internal rotation a little bit more. Now do this if it feels comfortable for you. If it doesn't, you can just hold in that position. If you want a little bit of extra stretch, then you can bring that knee on top of your ankle on top of your left knee. Good, let's go ahead and switch. Same thing, pausing here. Bring that left ankle on top of that right knee. Help the weight of it pull your leg down. If you feel like you get really tight through this kind of the side hip, the TFL, this could feel really, really good. We're going to do it one more time. Switch over to the other side. Bring that ankle on top of that knee. Let the weight of it pull you down if that's comfortable. Note if it is a little bit more comfortable than last time, if you've already started to loosen up a little bit more. I love this one. I stole it from yoga. All right, then we're going to switch. Last time here. Breathing into it. After it made us to get all those shakes, I think this light kind of stretching is well deserved. All right, we're going to go ahead and center it. Bring your feet back to hip width apart, making sure that they're not further out. Feet are still straight. We're just going to do a couple little pelvic rocks. All right, so pressing your back down into the ground. You're going to feel your butt engage a little bit, and then you're going to go ahead and arch up here, pressing your tailbone into the ground. Feeling that back arch, making space in between your back and the carpet or the ground. We're going to move back and forth. Now, since we got a bit of an advanced body awareness class, I want you to be aware of what your knees are doing here. Are they trying to go in and out as you rock back and forth with these pelvic tilts? And if they are, I want you to really focus on keeping those knees hip width apart and stabilizing you. So don't let them move willy-nilly like they might want to. Now when you go into that arch, I want you to think about shortening your hip flexor. So bringing your stomach to your thighs and make the movement come from your hip flexors, not your lower back muscles. So now we just turned this exercise not just into a pelvic mobility exercise. Now we're working on stabilizing and strengthening the hip flexors too as you move back and forth through this pelvic movement. You're keeping your legs straight, not letting them rock in and out. And you'd be surprised how much they want to go in and out here once you pay attention to it. I just like to keep my hands on my pelvic bones just so I can feel that. That's just me. You can keep your hands relaxed out. It's kind of up to you. Good. So if you're starting to feel this in your lower back a lot, then I want you to focus more of that energy through your hip flexors. The hips aren't doing as much as they need to. This movement is not lower back driven, it's hip driven. Especially when we start to arch up, really think about activating those hip flexors. Shortening them here. All right, before we flip over, let's go ahead and do some foot circles. So we're going to stretch one leg out long. Might feel good on that hip that we just started working. Toes pointing up to the ceiling, so I stretched out my left leg. Bring your right leg into your chest, grab behind that thigh, making sure your knee is in line with that right shoulder, not crossing to the midline of your body. We're going to make circles to the outside here, so clockwise for me, outside of the midline of the body. Good. Making sure that your shin stays parallel with the ground, and you're really not moving your upper leg bone at all. You're trying to kind of isolate that ankle in the socket, but you're going to feel this a little bit of rotation in your knee because we're rotating the tibia, which is the lower leg bone, in that knee joint. I personally feel this on the inside of my knee, like the muscle there working. All right, let's go ahead and switch. Now going to the midline of the body. I want you to really work into those toes here. So a lot of the times people just try to do this as an ankle rotation, but they forget kind of the ballerina toes. That's what I call them. I want you to make sure you go into that floint, as Kat calls it, that flex point. I learned that from her class. Or a demi point for ballet. All right, now we're going to flex and point. No flointing here. When she said that on our class, I was like, what is that? That's hilarious. And I love it. Now I think of it every time I do that. Woo. Hello, shin muscles. All right, let's do 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Let's go ahead and stretch that out long. And we're going to switch sides. So pulling that left leg into your chest, grab behind the thigh. Make sure that your right leg, your toes are still pointing up into the air and you're not rotating out and everting the foot. Now shin parallel with the ground, and we're going to go circles to the outside of the body here. Still making sure that that left knee is in line with your left shoulder. If you pull your knee in a little bit more to your chest, you're going to feel that a little bit more in that left hip flexor. Took me a second to get my coordination on this foot today. Yeah, my left foot does not want to go into these circles. It's like, starts twitching around. All right, let's go ahead and switch. Go into the midline of your body. Good. Still making sure that that upper leg bone is holding still, not moving around so much in the socket. Now you might start to feel this in your inner thigh, into your hip flexors, because as we work the foot, and as we engage the foot here, it's going to make a chain reaction all the way into your hips. That's why I'm so big on it, especially in standing exercises, engaging the feet into the ground, because it can make that chain reaction. All right, go ahead and flex and point here. Flex point, flex, point. This is when you might start to try to use other parts of your body. Try to make this happen as you start to get a little tired. Don't worry, we're going to flip over and do Carla's favorite after this. Thumbs up from Carla. Awesome. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. All right. Let's go ahead and sit up. I'm going to take a little sip of water there. Maybe redo the hair. Did not really want to wash it this morning, so this is what you got. All right. So now, Kat, for you, you can watch this and get into it a different way because we aren't going to be on your hands and knees, but we're going to be on the elbows and knees, but I normally show starting on the hands and knees first. But you should be able to do this one. All right, so we're going to start kind of in that cat-cow position, wrists directly under shoulders. We're going to bring our elbows 1 inch in front of our hands. So this is a static extension on elbows. So Kat, you can kind of do that placement without flexing or extending your wrist fully. Now make sure your elbows are still in line with your shoulders and they're not further out, okay? So you don't really want a wide elbow position here. You want it pretty close in. We're going to make that golfer's grip position with your hands. So if you're not familiar, curl your fingers down, stretch out your thumbs. We're going to rotate our thumbs now out to the outside of the room. We're going to pull our hands apart like you have a stretchy band in between your hands. Good. And then your shoulders are still over your elbows here. Now you're going to shift your your shoulders back a little bit, 2 inches past your elbows. You're going to relax your stomach. Stick your tailbone up into the sky. I hope I explained that very well. It was kind of a rough explanation today, so hopefully you're there. If you have questions, let me know. And then we're going to hold this position. We're going to keep rotating those hands out. Keep pulling that stretchy band apart. You might just start to feel this a little bit in your neck, like a big stretch. I personally like to stretch my neck over to the side when I do this because it feels really good. You don't have to do that. But you are keeping those hands pulling apart actively here. Breathe into it. Note if you feel a difference between the two shoulders, like my left shoulder does not want to pull apart today, or that hand does not want to go as far out. I'm feeling a difference in the placement of that shoulder blade, so trying to make it as even as you can. All right, let's go ahead and come out of that. And we're going to go ahead and come all the way back onto our stomach. So we've done a lot on the front part of the body today. We're going to do some stuff on the back. We're going to wake up that back chain. So elbows still directly under shoulders here, still making that golfer's grip here, so kind of like a baby cobra position. Now your thumbs are facing up to the ceiling. Now with this one, if it's easier for you, you can start to widen your elbows a little bit further out from your shoulders. They don't have to be directly under. Still pretending you have a stretchy band in between your hands. I want you to pull your hands apart and pivot on your elbows. When you do that, you feel your shoulders come down and back. So feel your lat muscles pulling your shoulders down to your butt. Good? Awesome. And that's when, if you can't feel that, you can bring your elbows a little bit wider than your shoulder level. Okay? So we're going to hold that, pull those shoulder blades down and back with your lats. Now we're going to go to a backwards frog. We've done this in class before. If you feel like your lower back doesn't want to do this, you can just hold this position. Okay? We're going to do a backwards frog here. Bring our feet together. All right, so entirety of the foot together. Then we're going to squeeze and release our feet. So we're going to squeeze, release, squeeze, release, and you're doing the whole foot. You're not just doing your heels, not just doing your toes, whole foot here. Good. Relaxing your pelvis into the ground so you're not letting the bony bits of your pelvis arch up to try to leverage off the floor. Okay? They're still relaxed into that ground. So note where you're feeling the movement. If you're feeling this just in your feet, or if it's working all the way up into your hamstrings and your bum. So really what we want to feel is when we squeeze our feet together, your butt has to engage. Now if we've lost that connection, you might not feel like that right away. You might feel like your butt's not engaging. All right, we're going to stretch it out long. Take a little second break. Ooh, did you hear that shoulder blade pop? All right, now we're going to come back into it. Same thing, reset that upper body. Pulling the hands apart, pivoting on the elbows, squeezing those shoulder blades down and back. Coming back into our diamond with our feet. We're going to squeeze and release. So especially if you've lost that connection between the legs and the bum, or the feet and the bum, you want to take those breaks in between so you can feel like when you get back into it, it's a little bit easier to connect. Now again, making sure your shoulder blades are still collapsed together here. You're not pressing your elbows and doing kind of a cobra back bend. Right, I actually want your shoulder blades coming together. So it's going to kind of shorten your neck a little bit. That's fine. You're not really looking up. You can look down. So you're still getting a retraction and your lats are really engaging here. Are you starting to feel like your bum has to kind of engage to do this work? Good. Again, remember to relax the stomach down. Good. All right, stretch it out again. We're going to do one last set here. And note too, if you are finding it easier to, or if one side of your bum was engaging more than another, we want to make that even as much as we can too. All right, let's reset. Get that arm position. Pull those shoulder blades down and back. Really activate that scapula. Leg position. And we're going to squeeze, release our feet. Again, relaxing the pelvis into the ground. So you're going to feel kind of your pubic bone into the ground, not arching up. Good. Are you finding it easier? Are you finding your bum for one? And then is it even for another? Are your shoulder blades still active? It's just a lot of shoulder blade work if you're doing it right. All right, excellent. Let's come back. We'll kick back into just a quick child's pose. I like to have a little bit of an elevated child's pose, so kind of a little bit more like a puppy pose. But just to kind of reverse that positioning that we were just in. Relaxing your stomach onto your thighs. So try to tilt, I know it's not a traditional child's pose, but try to tilt your pelvis up a little bit more into the air so you feel like your tailbone is more tilted into the air. And then you're shortening those hip flexors. So you're bringing your chest to your thighs, not so much tucking your pelvis down into that C. Yeah, beautiful. I'll let you do traditional child's pose in Kat's class. Well, except she's not doing her class anymore. Sad day. All right, let's come up to kneeling. We're just going to kind of go through a lot of positions today. We're going to do some arm circles kneeling if that's comfortable. Now, if you don't want to be on your knees today, you can go ahead and stand. So as we do some arm circles, I want you to make sure that you don't try to let your hips bail forward, that you're really keeping your hips underneath your knees here. So you might actually feel like you have to kind of do a little bit of an anterior tilt, not tucking here, which is totally fine. So we're asking our pelvis to stabilize us more in this position. I don't want you to start to bail forward like this. Okay, make that golfer's grip position with your hands. Arms out. Pull your shoulder blades down and back. So they should be in a better position from that last one. Might be a little bit easier to do this. All right, we're going to make circles forward. Perfect. And this is where I want you to make sure that you're not bailing forward, you're not hitching forward, okay? You're stabilizing. So you might feel this kind of in your quads. You might feel it more in your butt. Your butt kind of has to do quite a bit of work here. Good. Letting your body rock, that's what's going to help stabilize. Let your body rock. All right, let's go ahead and take a little break for a second. We're going to pull those shoulders down and back, engage the scapula again, arms straight out. Now rotate to the back, thumbs pointing back, and now we're going to circle to the back. Beautiful. Good. Try to keep that slight anterior tilt in your pelvis. It's going to make your quads do a little bit more work here. Good. Ooh, my bum is really waking up this morning. All right, so this next one we're going to go ahead and we're going to do a seated position. So grab your chair or your block or whatever you use for sitting. And then if you have a strap near you, we're going to use our strap too. We're going to do some press out. So I got my strap here. I'm going to switch this up a little bit. Perfect. All right, we're going to bring that strap around top part of our knees, about a fist width distance apart. You guys can see right there. Beautiful. All right, feet still straight, slightly pigeon-toed here. We're going to press out on that strap. Let's actually do, before we do some shoulder stuff, I want to just do a twist. So we're going to roll our pelvis on top of our sits bones. So not rocked here. Roll your pelvis forward. And now starting from your lower back, starting from your spine, I want you to slowly start to twist. Think about twisting every vertebrae. And you can't twist the other one until the one below it twists. So you're going to open up. Now make sure that shoulder is nice and open, still rolled forward in your pelvis. Good. So Carla, if you can roll forward a little bit more and then open up that shoulder a little bit. So not letting it kind of come forward like this. Feel like you're almost letting your chest out into the world. Just a little bit. There, yeah. Perfect. Good. I'm going to kind of open up that shoulder. If you want, you can open up your hand too. If you want to touch, that's totally fine. I like to open up the hands and kind of get an external rotation in the shoulder. Looking with your neck. Now again, feeling that twist in every vertebrae. Good. Still slightly pressing out with the strap. Now it's harder with the strap because we're actually, when we press in with the block, it balances the pelvis a little bit more. But here you can probably tell that you're wanting to pull a little bit more with one side. So I want you to really feel that other side engage. All right, now when we go to untwist, same thing. I want you to start from the lower vertebrae, so the pelvic vertebrae, and untwist, untwist, slow, 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 one vertebrae at a time. You can relax that arm. Ooh, just note that difference you feel right to left here. I feel super different. And then I'm going to leave you feeling different. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, we're going to go to the other side. Again, keep that pelvis rolled forward. Open up that chest a little bit. Start from the bottom vertebrae. Keep it nice and slow. Opening up, opening up. Can open up that shoulder. Last thing to rotate is your cervical spine. Still pressing out equally with that strap. So this is really hard. Pressing out equally with the strap and not letting the left side take over. Well, I'm twisting to my right, so the left side's going to want to take over. Can you feel all of those spinal erector muscles, so all of the muscles going down your spine, on your back, kind of lighting up and having to do a lot of work here? So that's the difference when you have your pelvis tilted forward. Then if you kind of relax into this, that's not really lighting up any spinal erectors. It's not strengthening your back. I want you to feel that strength and all of those muscles working in your back. All right, so again, starting from your pelvis, releasing each vertebrae at a time, slowly derotating. Last thing to move is your cervical spine straight. Very nice. Let's go ahead and actually dive forward. We're going to kind of stretch that out a little bit. If you can, go ahead and clasp your opposite elbows around your knees here. So you're curling up into a tiny little ball, grasping your opposite elbows here. Just feel that stretch in your lower back. So it's kind of like a little bit of a child's pose that we did earlier. Now, if you're grasping your opposite elbows, I want you to try to press out onto your elbows. Press your knees out and then release. And press out and release. Press out and release. We're just going to kind of do that back and forth. So if you can't grab your elbows, you still have this strap around your knees, so you can just press out on that strap. If you can grab your elbows, then that's awesome. Either one. Good. Relaxing your head here. Try not to hold a lot of weight into your head. Now, are you feeling a difference between the two thighs? Or the two outside hips trying to press out?
Yes.
Good. Trying to make it as even as you can. Getting a little sweaty being all curled up in a little ball. All right, go ahead and slowly roll up. Good. I want to keep your pelvis rolled forward now. So sitting on top of the six bones, and we're just going to do a couple shoulder blade rolls back, kind of to reset those shoulders. Then we're going to finish it off with some elbow curls. So again, making those spinal erectors do some work. Note if you feel your shoulders are a little crunchy. Mine are a little bit. If they start to smooth out as you do this. Still pressing out with that strap too. Okay, let's try to go forward. Good. Trying to make the shoulders do the movement and not really moving your torso to do this. Good. All right, let's end with a couple backwards ones. Good. Very nice. And now we're going to end with a couple of elbow curls. So make that golfer's grip position with your hands. Bring your pointer finger to your temple. Exactly. You're going to open up, and I'll do this front. It's easier. Going to open up, keep your shoulder blades where they are, and then close in. Try to touch your elbows if you can. Beautiful. Still pressing back on that strap. Or pressing out, not back. I don't know where you'd be pressing back. Good. Trying to keep your cervical spine and your neck on top of your shoulders and not letting it jet forward. Beautiful. Good. Still rolling forward in your pelvis. Nice. Let's do 5 more. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. Go ahead and relax. We can relax the legs. Let's just take a little walkabout. Just note kind of the difference we're feeling, how we're feeling. I just kind of like to walk after some of the classes to kind of feel, open stuff up, notice any pops that you might get. My right hip was just like, yes, all right, opening up there. Note if you're feeling some different engagement in your hips. I don't know about you, but my hips feel kind of worked a little bit. Feel a little bit more woken up. My shoulders feel like in a much better position too. Awesome.